After the funeral of the Marine, the next phase of your CACO duty begins, assisting the family with the following: application and tracking of benefits that are due to the next of kin, assisting the next of kin to obtain legal and tax advice, obtaining copies of investigations, and assisting the next of kin in receiving the deceased Marine's personal effects.
There are a variety of benefits and entitlements that are due to a family, and namely the big ones that we are associating with almost immediate assistance are the death gratuity, the Service Members Group Life Insurance, or SGLI, or the pay arrears.
A couple of days ago, you just notified them that their loved one had passed away, and now you have to sit down and go through paperwork, where they're still grieving.
All of a sudden, there's this person who you're seeing almost every day, helping you with, paperwork and answering all these questions that you are just kind of baffled by. You're still in that state of bewilderment of, is this really going on? And we're talking about somebody else. Like, you can't be talking about my husband.
You're there. You're that sense of support for them to talk them through what each aspect means and the entitlements and benefits that they're about to receive.
For our CACOs, we want to ensure that if there is something that's outside their purview, if there's something that they're not a duty expert in, and even if they are, that we ask them to take a step back and bring that next of kin to subject matter experts who are able to thoroughly speak to that particular subject.
It's great to be able to contact the experts and really ask them, hey, what do I do here? And they're very thorough, and they explain in very great detail.
By having that CACO accompany their next of kin to these various appointments, they're able to help that next of kin make more informed decisions. And the CACO always has a resource in their back pocket. It's always us.
He did a lot of research, and he made sure we were taken care of, and he really went above and beyond.
But I could tell it meant a lot to him. Like, I could tell he took a lot of pride, and, if he made a mistake on one form, like, it was not a spelling error or something, but it didn't write as clear, like, he'd get a new form. So, I knew it was very important to him, and he wanted to make sure that he was making it as easy as possible on me.
The death gratuity is a payment to the Marine's beneficiary as a result of his or her death. The amount is tax-exempt. The Marine may designate one or more persons, up to 10, to receive all or a portion of the death gratuity payment. The Marine designates the amount by 10% increments. Payment is by direct deposit. The beneficiary or beneficiaries must complete DD Form 397 and the Electronic Funds Transfer Form. The Casualty section completes these forms for you. You take them to the beneficiary or beneficiaries, usually on your second visit, and obtain signatures from the beneficiary and 2 witnesses. The death gratuity is usually paid within 48 to 72 hours. If the Marine designated less than 100% of the death gratuity, the remainder of the balance is paid to the following in order of precedence: surviving spouse, surviving children, or eligible family members. An important entitlement is the Marine's pay arrears. These include any unpaid compensation, unused leave, and re-enlistment bonuses, if applicable. Pay arrears is given to whomever the Marine had designated on the red. This individual does not have to be one of the Marine's next of kin. Anyone can be selected as the pay arrears beneficiary. This payment is considered taxable income and is paid within 30 to 60 days after the Marine's death. If there is no surviving designated beneficiary, payment will be made to the person highest on the following list living on the date of the Marine's death: surviving spouse, children or descendants of deceased children, parents in equal parts, or, if either is deceased, the survivor, legal representative, person entitled to payment per the state law of the deceased Marine's domicile. The beneficiary must complete and submit the SF 1174, Claim for Unpaid Compensation form. The form is included in your CACO guidebook. DFAS will send the check, last LES, and a statement detailing the pay arrears calculation. Service Members Group Life Insurance, SGLI, is group life insurance purchased by the Department of Veterans Affairs. The program is administered by the Office of Service Members Group Life Insurance. The base sum itself is non-taxable, but the interest earned on the money is taxable. The Marine is allowed to designate any beneficiaries. The selected individual or individuals do not have to be the next of kin. Payment will be made within 10 to 14 days via EFT direct deposit to the next of kin. The casualty section certifies coverage and beneficiary eligibility within 2 to 3 days following the death. You will assist the beneficiary or beneficiaries with completing the SGLV 8283 form, and then you will send the form to OSGLI. The SGLV 8283 form is in your CACO guidebook. The SGLI is paid either as a lump sum or in 36 monthly installments. SGLI establishes an alliance checking account in the beneficiary's name. This is a secure, interest-bearing draft account. The beneficiary may withdraw all of the funds at one time or in amounts of no less than $250 each. SGLI beneficiaries are provided with financial counseling services from Financial Point. You should inform the beneficiary about this service, and if desired, initiate contact with Financial Point on behalf of the next of kin. The Department of Veterans Affairs also offers Family Service Members Group Life Insurance, FSGLI, for the spouse and dependent children of members insured under the SGLI program. The Marine can select Family SGLI spousal coverage up to a maximum of $100,000. The Marine will pay a monthly premium for the spousal election. Child coverage is provided at no cost as long as the Marine is insured under the SGLI program. Each child is automatically insured for $10,000. The coverage is automatic even if the Marine does not participate in the Family SGLI program. SGLI also covers a member's stillborn child as an insurable dependent. The National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2013 repealed the automatic enrollment of dual active duty service members. Dual active duty service member households must ensure they enroll their spouse for FSGLI coverage utilizing their Servicing Personnel Administration Center. After completion of any invitational travel, submit travel voucher DD Form 1351 TAC 2 for each traveler, complete with Social Security number, current mailing address, telephone number, and all receipts associated with travel and lodging to the Marine Corps Base Quantico Finance Office. Commanders are required to inventory and ship all personal effects and household goods, including vehicles, and any items on the Marine's person or located at the Marine's place of duty. Personal effects arriving from a theater of operations will be sent to the Joint Personal Effects Depot, JPED. The CACO will work with the Distribution Management Office, DMO, and JPED, if applicable, to coordinate the delivery of the Marine's personal effects located at home stations or other locations. The next of kin of the Marine and his or her family are eligible for transportation of household goods and relocation moves. The movement of household goods must be completed within a specified period of time following the death of the Marine. A request may be made for an extension if necessary. Approved family members not residing in government quarters at the time of the Marine's death will receive a lump sum payment of 365 days of Basic Allowance for Housing, BAH, at the Marine's current rate. The individual receiving the BAH has two options. If on base, they are allowed or authorized to stay in base housing for up to a year after the Marine's death. If the individual wants to move off of base quarters before the end of the 365-day period, the next of kin will receive payment for whatever time is left in the 365-day period. A government quarters vacate form is required to obtain this remaining due balance. The spouse of a fallen Marine is eligible to receive 3 years of TRICARE Prime medical and dental coverage. If the spouse remarries before the 3-year period, the benefits will be lost. After the 3-year period, the spouse can enroll in TRICARE Prime for retirees. To be eligible for dental care, the Marine must have been enrolled in TRICARE Dental at the time of his or her death. The Marine's children will be covered under TRICARE Prime until they are 21 years old, 23 if they attend a state-accredited college. ID cards will need to be renewed. If a spouse remarries, they will lose ID card privileges. However, if the spouse gets a divorce, the privileges are reinstated. Children born out of wedlock, not already enrolled in DEERS, require DNA testing and a court order to verify their relationship to the Marine before the child can be enrolled for benefits. The Survivor Benefit Plan, a DoD benefit, provides an immediate, taxable monthly annuity to the eligible survivor of a Marine who dies while on active duty. SBP pays a percentage of the Marine's retirement. The annuity is equivalent to the amount a Marine would have been paid had she or he been medically retired at 100% disability at the time of death, regardless of rank. The Marine's line of duty determination impacts the survivor benefits amount. Benefits are generally standard across the board, but the compensation paid out by the Survivor Benefit Plan, SBP, and the Dependency and Indemnity Compensation, DIC, is affected by various factors. These will be discussed shortly. Eligible beneficiaries include the following: spouse only, spouse and child only, former spouse, or a person with insurable interest. Payment to a person with insurable interest is only possible in the absence of a spouse, eligible children, or a former spouse. The benefits and procedures can be complicated. You should contact Headquarters Marine Corps Retirements and Separations, MMSR, before making an appointment for the next of kin with the VA. MMSR and VA SBP experts will explain the retirement calculation, which is very important. They will emphasize that there is a DIC offset from the beneficiary's SBP. This means that SBP payments to spouses are reduced by the amount of the monthly DIC payment awarded by the VA. However, SBP payments for children are not reduced by the DIC payment. This offset will affect the survivor's decisions regarding the SBP benefits, because the spouse-only election is offset, but the child-only election is not. The benefits analysis report shown in the next module will be useful in assisting the next of kin to make an educated decision. The benefits analysis report can be accessed online. It is important to submit the SBP application in a timely manner. Do not wait for the results of any ongoing investigations. The VA provides dependency and indemnity compensation, DIC. This monthly stipend is non-taxable. The compensation provided is dependent on the deceased Marine's line of duty determination. The VA also adds a transitional benefit to the surviving spouse's monthly DIC if there are children under age 18. Parents of a Marine who died in service or from a service-connected disability may be entitled to DIC if they are in financial need. Again, as the CACO, you are not responsible for providing all of the information regarding DIC and SBP. Assist the next of kin to meet with the VA, complete the necessary forms, and follow up. There are many education benefits for a fallen Marine's spouse and children. The VA provides survivors and dependents with 45 months of tuition. The spouse can elect to use this for up to 20 years after the Marine's death. Children are eligible to use this educational assistance between the ages of 18 and 26. The Gunnery Sergeant John David Fry Scholarship entitles spouses and children of those who die in the line of duty on or since September 11, 2001 to post-9/11 GI Bill education benefits. Eligible children are entitled to 36 months of benefits at the 100% level and have 15 years to use the benefit beginning on their 18th birthday. They may use the benefit until their 33rd birthday. Eligible spouses are entitled to the same 36 months of benefits at the 100% level and have 15 years to use the benefit beginning from the date of their Marine's death. The post-9/11 GI Bill education benefits include tuition and fee payment, a monthly housing allowance, and a books and supplies stipend. It is important to note that all surviving spouses eligible for DEA and the Frye Scholarship must make an irrevocable election for terms beginning on or after January 1, 2015. When a surviving spouse elects to convert to the Frye Scholarship, he or she loses all remaining DEA benefits. If a spouse elects to use DEA instead of the Frye Scholarship, he or she forfeits all future entitlements to the Frye Scholarship. All of the benefits discussed previously can be paid to minors. However, payment of benefits to minors is governed by state law. A person must obtain official legal documents declaring him or her the minor's executor of estate, not simply physical custodian. This document must be obtained from the court before any benefits can be paid out to minors. The next of kin and/or designated beneficiaries are likely to need assistance with a variety of issues that have tax and legal implications, such as those associated with the Marine's estate, unpaid bills, debts, and many other issues. You may be asked questions related to tax and legal issues. The casualty section can provide assistance in identifying appropriate individuals that can assist with these issues. As needed, schedule an appointment for the next of kin with the appropriate legal and tax professionals. Another important aspect of your duty during this phase is assisting in the communication of investigative information. The Department of Defense has recently tightened command casualty and investigation reporting and notification requirements. Per the manual of the Judge Advocate General, JAGMAN, preliminary inquiries will be conducted on all deaths, injuries, and illnesses. As a CACO, you must tell the family during the initial notification that a preliminary inquiry is being conducted, and the casualty section is required to report the date and time. In follow-on visits, you must also report to the casualty section the delivery of investigations-related supplemental reports and updates to investigations. Command investigations are required to be conducted in all death cases except when the service member's death occurs as a result of hostile enemy action or as a result of a pre-existing medical condition in which the quality of care is not in question. In cases where a civilian law enforcement authority exercises investigating jurisdiction, a limited command investigation may be authorized to minimize duplicate investigations. Regardless of the circumstances of the death, all investigations-related activities will be documented in a PCR and submitted to the casualty section. They will ensure that you are provided the information so that you can pass it along to the family. You must inform the next of kin every time you receive information regarding the investigation and pass the date and time of these notifications to the casualty section. You should encourage the next of kin to request copies of any and all investigations.
Command investigation is launched essentially any time a Marine passes away while on active duty. The exceptions are if it's due to a prior existing medical condition or whether it's due to hostile action in theater. So no investigation is warranted in those circumstances. All other deaths throughout the entire Marine Corps, no matter where they happen, a command investigation is going to get launched.
For the investigation, the father had even asked about that as well. He asked for a copy of the report. I contacted the casualty branch, asked him for it.
In certain circumstances, it can take as little as a few months, up to years even, to get all the information down, to get all the information released that needs to be released, compiled, and endorsed and finalized. No matter how long the investigation takes, the CACO should be expecting supplemental reports every 30 days, every month, to provide to the next of kin as far as what's going on with the investigation. That's important because family members want to know what's happening in the Marine. They want to know when they're going to receive that information.
I got the final report, and I was able to provide that to the father as he requested.
You will deliver the completed, redacted copy of the investigation to the Marine's next of kin after they have requested the report via a JAGMAN investigation request form. If warranted, you will be assisted in delivering the investigation to the next of kin by a command briefing team or qualified subject matter experts. Per Marine Corps orders, commanders are required to comply with all investigations-related policies. The two most important events for families are the honorable and dignified burial of their loved one and the return of that loved one's personal effects. These two events are also most often associated with family disagreements. Therefore, you must take great care in handling these issues. You are responsible for delivering the personal effects of the fallen Marine to the person eligible to receive personal effects, the PERI. The designation of the PERI is by law. Currently, the person is not selected by the Marine. You will be told by the casualty section if you are responsible for delivering personal effects. It is important to remember that only the custody of the personal effects is transferred from the Marine Corps to the PERI. Any question of title or ownership must be determined by agreement among the interested parties, or, if necessary, by civil court proceedings. The determination of the PERI is determined as per DoD instruction in the following order of precedence: legal representative of the Marine's estate, unremarried surviving spouse, children in order of seniority, parents in order of seniority, siblings in order of seniority, other blood relative. When two individuals are of equal relationship, priority is determined by age, a person standing in loco parentis, a person named as a beneficiary in the Marine's will. The delivery of personal effects will be coordinated with you as the CACO. Personal effects may come in several shipments and from several locations. Personal effects from a theater of operations is processed at the Joint Personal Effects Depot, JPED. They will contact you to coordinate the delivery of personal effects that have been processed there. Home station personal effects will be processed and sent to you by the Marines unit via the local distribution management office. Make sure you inventory all personal effects before you deliver them to ensure that all of the items are present, clean, and are appropriately arranged. These photographs are from JPED. They illustrate the proper preparation and arrangement of personal effects.
As a CACO, dealing with the personal effects of that Marine, you got to understand that is one of the last things that the next of kin is going to receive for their Marine.
Whether they smell like the Marine, whether they remind themselves of something that the Marine did a long time ago, it's all very personal to them.
And you as a CACO would be that final person to touch that personal effects before it goes to the next of kin. If it's a contingency operation, Afghanistan, he's killed in action, it'll usually be shipped to JPED over at Doverport Mortuary.
What they do is they basically clean, wash, handle all the personal effects, and they basically make a display out of those personal effects. It'll come in a footlocker. There will be certain things that are put in red velvet bags for the Marine Corps, so small trinkets, coins, things like that, and they'll be laid out in a certain manner when they arrive at the CACO's door.
When it comes to Marines who die here in the United States, the personal effects that are on government installation is required to be inventoried.
Anything that's on the body when they die, so jewelry, watch, wallet, those are referred to as sentimental personal effects. And those will be given to the escort and hand-carried to the funeral home. The escort will then turn them over to the CACO.
Unfortunately, we have had instances in the past where families have accused the Marine Corps of hiding or mismanaging their loved one's personal effects. Within those instances, we often ask the units to go back and verify what it was that they actually put. That's why it's important for units to understand when you're managing or handling personal effects that they're very, very meticulous.
You need to ensure that you inventory it Everything's there. Anything that the next of kin has requested, you have found and given it to them.
We also want them to ensure that the personal effects are delivered in a very honorable manner.
That process is very important to them because that's something that they might have given to them a long time ago, which they're waiting on. And it also brings somewhat of a closure to the casualty care process when they receive the personal effects from their son or daughter.
So it really has a lot to do with how the family perceives us, and it's also just a sign of respect to our Marine brothers and sisters that we handle their personal effects correctly.
So when you provide them with those personal effects, you need to understand that this could bring out tears, it could bring out affection, it could bring back old memories.
No one would have ever thought when I said something about my husband's dog tag, which they got and I wear today around my neck, would have ever picked up the fact that would have gave me courage to speak at my husband's final service that day. And they did that. Listen to your heart and just listen for the small things. Because a dog tag is a very small thing, but it was his first gift to me, and they caught that. They caught that.